That's it. We are starting today's World Radio Party here on Big Blend Radio with the Zydeco Breakfast, and it does include champagne. I don't know if they do that, but we're having champagne over here because it is Sunday. We're going to be talking about Lafayette-Louisiana, which is in southern Louisiana between New Orleans and Lake Charles. So it's really easy to get to if you're crossing the country on the big interstate that goes from California to Florida. And it is just, talk about a world of culture. Louisiana is like that. You got Cajun, Creole, French, Spanish, African, Native American. Right. I mean, it's all and that's why the food is so good and the music is so good.
It is,
and it's swampy.
Exactly why. Yeah, that's
There's
why it's
gators.
so interesting. I love gators.
I know. We've got travel, food, and wine writer Linda Milks joining us to talk about her experience in Lafayette, and her story about it is up on blendradioandtv.com. Just type in Lafayette and you'll find that, and you can also keep up with her on her website, toastingfoodwinetravel.com. I like that name.
Yeah.
Don't you, Nancy?
Yes, I
think
like
this
to
is
toast.
what we do all the time. Hey, Linda, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Lisa and Nancy. Thank you for inviting me to come on the show.
This is very good to have you on here. The last time we saw you, we were partying it up in Yuma, Arizona. You were at the Lettuce Festival and got to tour some of the historic sites and, check that out. Check that beautiful area out. So it's good to be chatting with you.
That's a unique spot.
It is. Did that kind of shock you? Because, a lot of times people have never heard that much about Yuma, Arizona. Did it kind of open your eyes a little, oh, I didn't know?
I had no idea about all the produce that came from there. We stopped at a produce stand on the way home and couldn't find any produce because it had all been sent to Southern California because of the drought. So
oh, wow.
It really surprised me. Yeah,
I
wonderful.
know that. And that's not so far from you. You're in Temecula, right? And you're in wine country.
Right. Yes. I had a good time yesterday with some friends in wine country.
Ooh,
Lots
where did
of good
you go?
wineries to check out. Well, we went to Chapin Family Vineyards, and we went to Fazeli, and we ended up at Europa, which is one of my all of them are my favorites. And I was with a friend that I lived with when she was 17 and I was 28. She now lives in Irvine, so we reconnected for a full day, and it was wonderful.
Cool.
Wow, very cool.
That's fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, going to Lafayette, that's got to be like a different culture. I mean, for us it was when we got to Louisiana and started hanging out there. We're like, man, this is cool, man. This is like there's no. It's so real. There's like. It's real.
Yes.
There's no airs about it.
Agree.
It's just straight up have a good time.
Yeah, it is. It is like stepping into a different world, and they are the people that live there are so proud of living there, and they just exemplify, real people. There's not any pretension or anything. It's who they are and how they've been brought up. It's wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah, they have that southern charm and hospitality.
Mhm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me about these Zydeco breakfasts, because we did not do that once when we were in Louisiana, not once. And I'm pretty jealous about this and now need to go and do it. Now, are we allowed to have champagne in the Zydeco breakfast? It's important.
I think you certainly can. I don't think that they hold back on that kind of thing down in that area. I think Lafayette, it's all about having a good time. So, but that Zydeco breakfast, well, we went to a couple of wonderful breakfasts, and one of them was a French coffee place. Let's see, I was trying to find the name of it. But anyway, the one that I remember the most and love the most was the one that was at Buck and Johnny's, and that was on a Saturday morning. We got there probably about 8 o'clock, and at 8:30, the Zydeco music started down below us, and people just were so enthusiastic, so upbeat, and the remarkable part to me were that all the men also wanted to dance, and they pulled people from our group that we were traveling with and taught them how to dance. And all these places that we went to that had Zydeco music had a bench along the wall, so that if you wanted to dance, you could go sit on that bench, and someone will come up and ask you to dance. It was wonderful.
And it's just to have a
Fun.
good time, right? It's like, yeah,
Oh
because
yes.
sometimes you're like, you know,
Well, that music is really hard to stand still to.
yeah, you got to
You
get up
can't.
and
Yes.
boogie,
Yeah,
man.
it's boogie music.
And
Yeah.
Zydeco's changed
Yeah.
over the years too, right? So it's getting some rap
Yes.
infusion and a little bit of everything in
And
there.
ska and rap and ska and all kinds of things involved with it. But it still has that same beat, I believe that. And actually, it's not that difficult of a beat to dance to. And the kids learn that's part of their PE class when they're in school is to learn Zydeco dance. So that might
Although I
explain
want to go to
why
school.
all of them enjoy it. I know.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
mean, how
We
come?
never had that.
I feel we got gypped. They didn't do that in our
I know.
class. No.
I know.
Yeah.
I just
Wow.
Well, I grew up in Nebraska, so we had a little square dancing, but I think I prefer the Zydeco.
See,
Wow.
Very fun.
yeah, it's a fun thing. And now the swamps, that's something that to me, you went out with Captain Tucker. We actually had him on the show a couple months ago, and had a blast talking with him. But we didn't realize, I've seen Atchafalaya, especially it's a National Heritage Area, and I didn't realize it was the largest swamp. Now, have you been on a swamp boat ride before, an airboat before in a swamp?
Yeah, I have in Florida. I've been in the
Okay.
Everglades of Florida and done that. And we had
Oh,
a
yeah,
great
we
guide. He was
too.
a Native American, and he was wonderful. But I loved Captain Tucker because his dialect and his background, everything was so much Lafayette and that area of the country. He just exuded what it's all about, and his knowledge of the alligators, and you could just tell he just loved living there, and he loved being on the swamp and being with the alligators.
That's
so much
cool.
so that he and his brother, I put it in my article, but he and his brother used to bring home baby alligators and put them in the bathtub until his mother said, "They're getting too big. You've got to get them out of here."
I don't think you're allowed to do. I'm not
Yeah.
going to advocate for that, but I know Nancy,
No.
your brother, did that too, right?
Yes. Well, he
This was
his
probably
didn't come
a few
from
years.
a swamp, but his came from a pet shop and ended up in the dishwasher, like not the dishwasher, sorry, dishwater. When I went to do the dishes and I put my hands in the water, I was wondering why there wasn't a soap, and there was this little nip. And I'm like, cool, I got bit by a gator.
Well, you guys are weird that way. When
It was cool.
same uncle took us out snorkeling in Florida when we first got back to this country, and there's sharks, and I'm like, okay, great. I just came out of South Africa and I know great whites, and I see a shark, I'm like, I'm out. And he's like, no, you need to stay. You're like, grab my hand, like, you're going to sit here with the sharks. I'm like, okay, great. Well, it wasn't that long before he was bitten by sharks, and he thought it was the coolest thing on earth. And little pieces of teeth would come out of his leg once in a while.
God.
And he was like, look, a tooth. But anyway, he was a little on a.
That's because sharks have a double row of teeth.
That's
what's so
right.
interesting. Yeah, so
Yeah.
when you get bit, you get a lot of teeth,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't all fall out at once.
But Nancy and I also went to the Everglades. Actually, was part of the kickoff to us actually going and saying we're going to go cover parks around the country. Was the Everglades and the trip we took out there, and we also went. It was right near Shark Valley that we took. I think it was also a Native American land reservation that we were on, and they took us out on an airboat and everything. But there is this difference to me, even though it's all connected with Louisiana. There's this. We went kayaking in a bayou in Louisiana, and what's there,
Whoa.
and you don't know what you're doing. You know what you're going through, and somehow you just don't care. And there were frogs jumping on me and everything. I'm like, so long it's not a water moccasin or a gator, but somehow you just don't care anymore. There is something mystical about going out through there, man. There's just this.
Well, there's a
swampy,
connection.
Yeah.
Because you are in the water.
Yeah.
I felt like I was
sort of
in a movie,
Oh,
or
yeah.
something, because you just get so involved with all the trees, the cypress trees around you, and the greenery and the birds, and it's quite fascinating.
The birds are amazing.
Oh man, that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, so you got the nature experience on the largest swamp in America. and got to go through the mangroves and all that good, I know that there's swamp monsters.
Right.
Anyway, just
The heat.
the heat. No,
Yeah.
but it's cool. I want to go out there. Now, did you eat boudin?
Oh, we did. Yes, we did. We had it maybe 3 different places. We went to kind of a little grocery deli, and then we saw it prepared in different ways. With some of it had like cheese in the center of it, deep fried. But the more authentic one, the actual sausages, we went to a little small, like takeout place, I guess it was. We ordered our boudin, and then we went outside to eat it, and we had it with some local pop that was made in that area too, because we had to try everything local. But it was really very yummy,
You
very
said
different.
pop.
Like soda.
Yeah.
Soda pop.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that is not a
there.
Southern California word, is it?
No, I think soda is more what you call it in Southern California. At least that's what I call it. But I think they call it pop.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I believe that's what they call it. And there were different flavors, and so it was. We had to try, just like you do wine tasting. We had to try 5 or 6 different flavors of this pop soda, whatever. That was a local one that was at that grocery store. So
Now, did you
fun.
find any wine when you were in Louisiana?
We did. We went to a wine tasting at a place called My Somm, and when we're in Southern California, we get deluged by just all kinds of California wines. But when going to My Somm in Lafayette was a chance to try wines from more around the world, French wines and Australian wines and a variety of different wines. And this place he sets everyone down at a table, and you get to try a wide variety. And he actually is, at 19, he was one of the youngest somms in that area. So he's really knowledgeable.
That's great. I mean, starting that at that age, he's gonna have a happy life. And the food over there. I mean, you got the boudin. You got, I know we had rum when we were in southern Louisiana, that they're making rum because they produce sugar. They grow rice out there, and you know, California does rice
rum too.
Yeah, rum. Okay,
we went
that's
to a rum
important.
place.
That's
yes,
did you enjoy
it
that?
was because of the sugar cane. And this was what was cool about this place is it was such a small little venue, but the rum he made, you could sip. It's like sipping, fine tequila or something, and very small production. And I think you mainly have to buy it through his place. And so that was, an interesting experience because he is such a small venue, and that was really delightful too. Trying to find the location of the place, it was wonderful.
I think what's great about it is that a lot of the places that we went to, and tell me if this is what you experienced too, is that when we're in Louisiana, if it's going to be like a franchise or a chain, it's kind of in that region, or it will go maybe a little bit into, southern Texas, and maybe a little bit, Mississippi or the South. But it seems like every place was unique and mom and pop, and you get to know the owner. Like that's how it felt for wherever we went in Louisiana. You seemed like it was like. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say this place is called Rank Wildcat Spirits, and David Moe was the local distiller, and he's the one that showed us around. So it was very, very small and personalized, and they believe in, now you can correct my pronunciation, but Les Le Bon Temps. Let the good times roll.
Yeah, good times roll.
That's what they believe in. Yes.
That's
right.
Yeah. We're with that. We're with that. But did you find, was it mostly small businesses like that you were going into for food and and Zydeco breakfast and things? That's nice.
Yeah, we didn't go to anything that was any kind of chain or a larger place. It was all smaller venues. We also did a really nice beer tasting at Bayou Teche Brewing. and with amazing pizza. So if you go there, you have to have the pizza too. But wide variety of different types of beer that was started in like an old trailer is what they started, and now they have a fairly good-sized production area.
Nice. I like this. Now, so you talk about the difference between Cajun and Creole food, and I didn't realize this, but you talk about like the tomato is kind of what sets them apart because they all like the spice. Spice is king, man. When it comes to Louisiana, they know how to spice it all up. But the tomato was something I didn't realize that was made things different.
Yes, yeah, it's interesting because they considered like Creole is more what you'd find in New Orleans, because it's a port city, they had access to all kinds of fresh produce, including tomatoes. But then when you get out somewhere like Lafayette, where it's not a port city, there it's considered more country food, and they didn't have as many things available to them, to actually make things from. But they do use the Holy Trinity, is what they call it, the onion, celery, and bell pepper, that they put in almost everything.
So that's it, that bell pepper.
That's a different Three Sisters.
Yeah, here's the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
Corn bean, corn, squash, and beans here in the Southwest. Or they would sometimes have cilantro be there. Yeah, the Holy Trinity is, they call it the Three Sisters. And they grow them together because they are like companion plants, and that's what happens in the desert Southwest. So this is interesting, how everywhere it seems to be. There's always the three amigos in something.
That's true.
It is.
It's a nice balance.
So is there any place that you didn't get to go in Lafayette? Just I know how whenever we do these kind of media trips, it's like you are on the Zydeco dance floor. It's like a whirlwind. And you get a good taste of the area, but you go, man, I wish we had time to do this or do that or eat here,
When we were at Buck and Johnny's, where they had the Zydeco dancing on Saturday morning, after we did that, then we had a little bit of time to walk around the town there, it's a Bro Bridge, and it has a bunch of, it's very tiny, but it has a lot of little antique stores and things that we got a chance to wander through a few, but we ran out of time, so it was that would have been nice to have had a little more time there. And then the other thing, we did get a chance to walk around downtown Lafayette a lot, and they were having a festival, so that was fun to see. It's called Downtown Alive, and they do that I think once a year, where they bring in all these different groups to play. There's just music everywhere, which is one of the wonderful parts of it. And one of the highlights too would be Laura's too, and that is in Lafayette, and it's such a it's like going to a diner or something, but you stand in line to order from this. You walk in, there's a big window where you could see all the food, and her specialties are things like fried pork chops, and fried stuffed turkey wing, and then you get all kinds of sides to go with that, including the rice that's grown in that part of the country, and and then she puts it all in white styrofoam containers. You don't get a plate, you get a white styrofoam container. And that has to do with the fact that she hates to see waste. So she figures and you get huge portions. So then you can just take it home in that box. You don't have to ask for a to-go box. And she said a lot of people there are working people too. So they just come in, they get their to-go box and take it home, take it back to work. So
and you can wash and reuse those, actually.
Yes.
I encourage people to do that. I know it sounds weird, or tear it up and use it for the bottom of your plants that you're going to grow, like in a potted plant, So
Good
I'm just
tip.
saying.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Some of the styrofoam today is actually now biodegradable.
It's getting better and better with that, And hey, I like it where I like leftovers, and especially when you start getting into food with spice, the next day it's better than the first day.
I'm so glad, because that's what you're having for dinner.
I know. Yes. You know what's happening, leftovers and champagne. So the other thing too, and I know that Laura was also on Anthony Bourdain's, and that's where we first heard of. And the episode of Lafayette, man, that was like a wild episode. I just remember it was the episode right after he'd passed, and I cried through the entire thing like a baby. I can't help it, you know. It was just at that point, you know.
Yeah.
And I still cry. But anyway,
she said she didn't know he was coming, that she had like 10 minutes notice that he was going to be there. Wow. And then his whole crew came in, set everything up. So there was no time to change things, make it look different. It was authentic.
That is awesome. I love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love to hear that, you know, because that's kind of how he rolled. And he was like, you know, he just
wants a real deal.
Here it is. I want to sit down and, you know, have a conversation with President Obama, you know. And I think some of the best food comes from places. I mean, we've all done like all, you know, levels of restaurants, and but you can have some of the best food in these places that aren't the fancy, you know, white tablecloths and la-di-da, and you can have some of the best food that comes out of places like that.
That's where the focus is, the food,
and
not the...
Louisiana, you get po' boys and boudin in the gas station.
Well, okay, face it, Louisiana rocks when it comes to food.
It does.
I mean, seriously.
We also went to a drive-through daiquiri place.
Yes.
It wasn't on our list, but...
we did that too.
So we went round and round.
No, when we were in Lake Charles, and we had a radio show to do, and there was a drive-through daiquiri, and we're like, well, let's have the daiquiris on the radio show, and our press connection, Kaylin, you remember this, Kaylin? I gotta give her a shout out, and she's like, well, how much do we need? I'm like, and she's talking about ounces. I'm like, I don't know. And we went through, and they gave us 2 big water jugs, you know, the big ones.
Half-gallon jugs.
Half-gallons. And so we had these 2 big things of different types, and we ended up we had to keep it in our hotel fridge because we couldn't drink all of that between the 3 of us at all. Right. And then we took it. We went to Sam Houston Jones State Park. It's a little bit above. It's in Mossville or something. It's just a little bit above Lafayette and Lake Charles, and sat and drank daiquiris and watched squirrels and turtles on the river. Yeah. I know. It's just, we're like, how can you get rid of these, you know, big plastic jugs of daiquiri? You know.
You have to drink.
Yeah. Right. It would be so insulting if you didn't. Besides, it was really good. Man, they're really good.
So I wanted to know, what was that led you to travel writing and food and wine?
Well, who doesn't love food? And for years, I would go to restaurants and then come home and try to replicate before the internet, where you really couldn't look things up that much, try to replicate what I loved in a particular dinner. And so I've always been kind of a foodie. And then, you know, the wine, I've always, for years, liked wine, but moving to Temecula, where it's right, I always say within crawling distance of my home, so many different wineries that it's made me really want to know more about it. And when I joined IFTWA, I had an opportunity to network with other people who were sommeliers and could actually teach me some more about it. And it's so fascinating. You learn. The more you learn, the more you know you don't know.
That's so true. You talk about that on your website. And everyone, again, that's toastingfoodwinetravel.com.
I just think the research and practice is the best part.
Yeah, it is the best part. But you also talk about, which is something very near and dear to Nancy and I's heart, is that travel means we get to make more connections and not just flick on the news and make an opinion without being in place and understanding a culture. Like when you hear what's going on in Louisiana in the news, everybody jumps to an opinion. But then when you go there, it's like, hey, wait, that's, you know, we can all get along here.
I think you learn that we're all people, and you know, we may live in different environments, but we're all people, and we all, you know, have a lot of commonalities too.
And you know, sometimes on major news, the assumption is made that what you're looking at is all of a certain place or certain peoples, when it's really a minority of the people who behave in ways that make it into the news, whether it's good news or bad news.
Right. And I think one of the most important parts of travel is the culture and getting to know the people, and not focusing on, well, I want to go see this historic site and that historic site. And that's wonderful, but I think getting to know the people really is what makes it something you remember forever.
I love having a local person explain the history and explain what you're looking at instead of reading a plaque, although they need plaques for sure.
Yeah.
You can't always get a local, but it really it makes it come to life when someone who loves their own history tells you.
I like this, Nancy. You just gave me a new idea. Getalocal.com.
There we go.
Sounds like a dating site.
I know, right? Getalocal.com, but it's something. But it's really true. So and when we travel, like when you were talking about IFTWA and everyone, that's the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. When you go on these trips, we have this benefit that sometimes someone driving through or may only get to see one corner of a place. We have these benefits of going on a trip with someone who's an expert and having those programs that sometimes are available to the public, but not always, so that we can tell the right story, not just what Wikipedia may get right or wrong.
Correct.
Like Captain Tugger. I mean, did you learn things about the swamp and gators that you didn't know about because of the way he explained it?
Oh, totally. I mean, it was so interesting. The first one we saw, we were there when they were pretty much hibernating in the water. So he said, even though we're not seeing it, it's just thick with alligators. But the first one we saw was named, he called Cherie, and he would say, my Cherie, and call her. She was blind, and so she really didn't move much. He knew where she was going to be. The second one, Hercules, was the one that was 14 feet long, and he had a relationship with Hercules because he brought out some kind of little chicken parts to feed to Hercules. So this little alligator wasn't stupid. He knew that Captain Tucker was there and came up to get his chicken, and it provided a chance for all of us to see an alligator up close, very close, and to be able to video him. And it was fun.
Did you, because when you people have this fear thing of alligators, like snakes and things like that. And from this trip, do you think if people go on that tour with him, I mean, I'm like, let's get in, man. So I'm a little, I'm like,
gator.
I dig it. But when you went out with him, do you think that, anybody that's scared of alligators and things like that and has like that fear or like, get rid of him, it's a spider, it's a snake, would learn enough to kind of dispel that fear?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think that, I think that just seeing how calm this alligator could be around him, it kind of makes you real, and you see them up close, you really see the beauty in them too. But you still have that respect for them.
Oh, yeah, you've got to have that healthy respect. Yes.
Yeah.
You've got to have that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, when I was in the Everglades with our guide, he showed us how to pet an alligator under its mouth without getting bit. So I did do that. And now I think about it, I think I was supposed to have been nuts, but we all took a little chance, petting him under his on his neck.
It's like, hello, Gator.
Yeah.
I don't know, that kayaking thing with them. I know one of your one of your IFTWA friends, Katie Walls, she kayaks out with them in Florida, and so when we get out there, we're like, okay, we're coming out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a thing like going out in the water like with whales and stuff. Like you always see these people out on the water in their kayak or whatever they call it, and I don't know, it's a sea kayak. And, here's this big orca. I'm like, dude, no. That's a little scary to me. But I would do it, and then I probably need to, like, take a little flask with me just to have some Dutch courage. I'm just saying.
Right.
Having a see respect for the ability of what you're trying to get close to, and not to get so close that you make it a big
you don't want
mess
to
of it,
corner the animals.
You don't want to corner them or
make them freak
scare
out.
them.
Mm-mm.
And also, it's nice to know if you're looking at an animal that has a baby nearby. That's always fun.
Yeah, that's
you got to be careful.
Yeah. So you got to be aware.
So I want to give everyone the website. Lafayette, again, we've got Linda's article up in blendradioandtv.com, and will also be featured in the summer issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, because that's the good time to go to Louisiana. But no, actually we spent summer in there, and you do adjust, and you can do it. But I encourage you to go to the website Lafayette-Travel.com, and again, also follow Linda at toastingfoodwinetravel.com. I always like to talk about this, about IFTWA, the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. What do you think? Because, when you look at travel writing can be such a closed-in, your office activity, yet you guys all go out on trips together and get to share knowledge. What do you think is one of the bigger benefits of belonging to an organization? Because, like I said, I think sometimes writers and photographers we sneak out on our own.
Oh, I think being able to, for me, I just really love the people that I've met through IFTWA and the chance to network with them. And it's wonderful to be able to meet them at conferences or on media trips so that you get to know the person. And then there's that strong connection. You follow their writing. You know so much more about them and care so much more. And I've learned a lot about writing and about social media. Thank goodness we have several people that know a lot about social media. It's all of that knowledge sharing that's so helpful. And that's what I think
the story out to the masses, and that's one of my favorite things is IFTWA on Twitter, and follow you. It's like my third column in on my tweet deck is I watch IFTWA, because like all of you are going around the world, so everyone, if you do hashtag IFWTWA on Twitter, you're going to see all these stories from around the world, literally. I mean, it's amazing right now. There's everything about Valentine's Day. There's boning. I'm just looking at everything that's up there. We've got, oh, my gosh, the Christmas market on Viking River cruises. We've got Del Mar in Southern California, Aruba. I'm just scrolling through this. Carlsbad, California, which is you, Linda, covering Carlsbad. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So if you love food, wine, and travel, hashtag IFWTWA, and you'll be in for some fun there. Linda, we have some special music for you, because you ate so well in Lafayette. One of our favorite bands is Johnny Mastro and the Mama's Boys, and we met them in Venice Beach in Long Beach many years ago at the very beginning, when we started our magazine, 22 years ago we met them and covered them and all of this good stuff, and then they ended up in New Orleans, and they rocked the place. And this is one of their earlier albums. Is called Chicken and Waffles, and we haven't played it for a while, and we got to play the title track, because you can get chicken and waffles in Louisiana. I know for sure. You can get it at Roscoe's in LA. Yeah, and it does go well with champagne. So we get to play that. So everyone, here it is, Chicken and Waffles. You can go to johnnymastro.com to keep up with his music. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you. This has been wonderful, and I am looking forward to hearing the music.
Oh, here it is, Chicken and Waffles, everybody. Take care.